deadliest predator in Texas isn't a mountain lion or a rattlesnake. She's a 95-year-old woman who bakes award-winning peach cobbler every Sunday and hasn't fired a weapon in anger since leaving a covert Marine Corps unit the government still refuses to acknowledge. But when Mexico's most brutal cartel, Los Espectros, tried to take over her quiet border farm, they had no idea they were waking up a legend. They didn't know why her military records are still locked away after half a century, or why the name Ghostmaker used to make even seasoned soldiers go silent. And they definitely didn't expect that the old woman who walks with a cane could still nail a target 1,000 yards away without her glasses. What happened next would become the stuff of folklore. 40 cartel enforcers, armed to the teeth, systematically taken down by someone they thought was just a frail widow surrounded by peach trees and memories. This is the story of how the most dangerous cartel in the Western Hemisphere made the fatal mistake of crossing June Hawthorne, armed with nothing but old-school training, a strategic mind, and nerves forged in battle. Before we dive deeper, tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? And don't forget to subscribe, because tomorrow's story is something you won't want to miss. As dawn breaks, frost crunches under June's boots. The sun hasn't yet risen, but her first perimeter check is already complete. Old habits die hard, especially the ones shaped by decades in combat. Her German Shepherd Scout trots at her side, alert and ready. At the eastern fence line, June crouches beside fresh tire tracks. Her movements are slow and steady, exactly what you'd expect from someone her age, until you notice her eyes scanning every detail, missing nothing. "These tracks are too deep for local trucks," she mutters. "Wrong tread for farm equipment." Scout's ears twitch. A pickup approaches. June already knows who it is by the engine. Wren Blackwood, her nearest neighbor, pulls up in a swirl of dust. Her face is tense. "Thank God you're out here, June. Did you hear about the Millers?" "What about them?" June asks, rising slowly and brushing dirt off her jeans. "They're gone, vanished overnight, no warning. And this morning, I saw men at their place, SUVs. Not from around here." "Cartel," June says flatly, her voice calm, but her mind is already calculating. Wren grips the wheel tighter. "That's what they're saying in town. They've been moving up, buying out properties. And when people say no, they disappear." June pats the truck door. "They come to you yet?" "Not yet, but the Davidsons sold last week. Same deal. Strange buyers with too much cash. Locals think they're using the land to move product." It makes tactical sense. Remote locations, real structures, easy to disguise traffic. And June's farm, it sits at the intersection of 3 counties, an enforcement nightmare. "These guys aren't amateurs," Wren whispers. "They've got serious money, and our sheriff's out of his league." "Don't worry about me," June replies. "I've handled worse." After Wren drives off, June calls for Scout and heads to her barn. Beneath the hay bales and dusty tools lies a hidden trapdoor, one she installed decades ago. Back then, friends called it paranoia. She called it preparation. The floor lifts with a quiet creak, revealing a cache of military-grade gear. Radios, weapons, encrypted tech. Everything she hoped she'd never need again. Her phone buzzes. A message from an old Border Patrol contact. "They're moving fast. 7 farms taken this month. Stay sharp." June spreads a map on her desk. Her land isn't just a farm. It's a strategic asset. It controls access to key roads, giving her a tactical advantage no one else has. Later, at May's diner, June sips her coffee while Mei Chen quietly wipes the counter. "2 guys were asking about you yesterday. Suits? City shoes? Said they wanted to know if you lived alone. If you had family." June's hands stay steady. "What'd you tell them?" "That you're a sweet old lady who makes the best peach pie for 3 counties, May says with a wink. "Didn't mention that time you shot the head off a rattlesnake without blinking." Engines rumble outside. Through the window, they spot 3 black SUVs creeping by. Too slow, too curious. "You should sell, June," May whispers. "They don't take no lightly." June places a crisp bill on the counter. Some questions deserve a very firm answer. Back at the farm, she begins making calls. Not to local cops, not to the sheriff. They're not ready for what's coming, but she is. Instead of calling law enforcement, June reaches out to people who don't show up on any official records, people who've fought beside her in operations so classified they're rumored not to exist. "Stryker, it's Ghostmaker," she says into a secure line. "Remember that favor you owe me? Time to cash it in." A low whistle answers. "Been a while, June. How bad?" "Cartel's moving in. Farms are falling. They'll be here next. I could use backup. Might be time for one last mission." You know we're not exactly young anymore. June watches another black SUV crawl past her property, slower this time. Her reply is dry, cold. Neither are they. As the sun dips below the horizon, June walks her land again, not as a farmer, but as a tactician surveying a battlefield. Every ridge, every tree line, every access road, she sees them now as tactical assets. The cartel thinks they're targeting an elderly woman's homestead. In reality, they're stepping into a precision kill zone engineered by one of the Marine Corps' most lethal shooters. Scout barks, low and sharp. Vehicles are approaching again, the same SUVs as before. This time, they stop at her gate. June straightens her back, adjusts her sun hat, and slips into character. Harmless old lady. The role they expect. The mistake they'll only make once. 5 men step out, dressed like corporate executives. Expensive suits, polished boots. 2 more linger by the vehicles, hands suspiciously hidden beneath jackets. Scout growls, sensing the tension, but June calms him with a gentle hand. Leading the pack is Dante Cruz. His grin is rehearsed, but his eyes are pure ice. As he walks forward, June notes the way the others move. Tight, coordinated, armed. Ex-military, at least 3 of them. The rest? Hired muscle. "Miss Hawthorne," Cruz says, extending his hand. "Beautiful land you've got." June shakes it. His grip's too firm. He's trying to assert control. Amateur move. "What can I do for you, gentlemen?" "We represent an investment group," Cruz replies, gesturing broadly. "We're expanding. Your property has features we're interested in." June leans casually on the fence, playing her part, while mentally calculating fields of fire, noting their positions and identifying threats. 3 are professionals, 2 are sloppy. None of them understand who they're really dealing with. "I'm not selling," she says flatly. "This land's been in my family too long." Cruz's smile tightens. "Maybe I wasn't clear. We're prepared to offer $3 million. Cash. Far above market." June scratches Scout's ear, buying time to glance toward the barn. 2 of the men are walking the perimeter, scanning angles, noting cover. They're not investors. They're recon. "Money's not everything," she replies. "Some things can't be bought." Cruz's tone shifts. The pleasantries drop. "Let me be direct, Miss Hawthorne. This valley is changing. You can be part of that and profit, or..." He pauses, letting the threat hang. June doesn't flinch. "Or what?" "Or this place becomes very unwelcoming. Accidents happen, especially to people who don't know when to take a deal." June straightens. Her voice hardens just enough. "Sounds like a threat, Mr. Cruz." He blinks. She used his name, something he never gave her. A slip, but not by mistake. She wanted him to know. She's done her homework. Cruz recovers quickly, but one of his men calls something in Spanish about security cameras. Good. She let them see the obvious ones. The real system is still hidden. "You've got 24 hours, Cruz says, slipping her a card with a fake company name. After that, the offer gets less generous. June nods coolly. "I'll sleep on it." He turns, then pauses. Beautiful dog. Would be a shame if anything happened to him. Scout growls low, sensing June's shift. She places a steady hand on his head. Her voice is calm, but carries the weight of battlefields long past. That would be a very serious mistake. Something about the way she says it stops Cruz cold. For a second, the mask slips. He realizes she's not the easy target they expected. There's something else here, something dangerous. Once the SUVs roll out, June activates the real defenses. Cameras camouflaged in trees, motion sensors along the fence line, and a full tactical command center hidden beneath her barn. Moments later, an old pickup rolls in. It's Dr. Pike Sterling, local physician, close friend, and one of the few people who suspects there's more to June than anyone knows. "Figured I'd check your blood pressure," he says with a grin, carrying his medical bag. Inside, as he pretends to examine her, he lowers his voice. "They've been sniffing around the hospital, looking through your files, searching for weaknesses. Find anything?" "Told them you're a textbook case. Regular checkups. Typical ailments for a woman your age." His eyes twinkle. "Didn't mention the time you reset your own dislocated shoulder?" June didn't flinch. She simply smiled. "I appreciate your discretion," she told Dr. Pike, who hesitated before speaking again. "These people, they're calculated," he said. "The Millers didn't sell fast enough. His wife had a car accident. The Davidsons refused. They lost their barn in a fire. No proof, just warnings." June looked him dead in the eye. "Remember that scar you once asked about? The one I said was a farming injury?" Pike nodded slowly. "Sniper round, Guadalcanal, went straight through. I stitched it myself with fishing line and kept shooting. Took out 3 more before sunset." Her voice was steady, her stare sharper than ever. "I'm not the helpless old woman they think I am." Pike leaned closer, his voice low. "They're watching the house. I spotted their surveillance post on the way in." "Good," June replied, glancing at her watch. "Right on schedule." She wasn't surprised. They were doing exactly what she'd hoped for. "Sometimes the best way to catch a predator," she said, "is to act like prey." As Pike drove away, June began her nightly routine, but slower now, deliberately frail for the eyes watching. They saw an old woman struggling with barn doors and checking locks. What they didn't see: motion sensors activating, sightlines being tested, firing lanes being confirmed. Her phone buzzed. "Team in position, perimeter secure, waiting on your signal." She replied with one word: "Soon." Night fell over the ranch. From their hidden post, the Cartel scouts radioed in. "House is dark, no movement. Target appears to be asleep." What they didn't realize: June's basement had transformed into a fully operational command center. Thermal screens glowed green, tracking every move they made. They had a solid setup, just like Pike said, but they were about to learn why June's code name was Ghostmaker. And some soldiers? They never really retire. Quick reminder before we continue: if you're enjoying this story, hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you know. Now back to the mission. At exactly midnight, June moved with silent precision through her command room. Gone was the frail farmer. In her place stood the strategist who trained elite Marines. On the monitors, 3 surveillance teams right where she wanted them. "No clear exit for their central team," a gravelly voice remarked from the shadows. Reed Alvarez stepped into the light. Gear on, ready. Once her trainee, now her right hand. "They pulled their teams from the Miller and Davidson farms. All eyes are on you now," he said. June tapped a screen showing thermal silhouettes. "They think they're hunting. Time to flip the script." In the northwest post, 2 Cartel watchers were growing bored. "No movement, 6 hours, one muttered. Static buzzed on the radio. They tried different channels. Still nothing. Then, a crack of a branch. A soft metallic clink and smoke. Not tear gas. Something worse. Ghost pepper powder. They bolted, coughing, eyes burning, straight into June's trap. Floodlights ignited. Weapons disassembled and neatly laid out before them. "Evening, gentlemen," June said coolly. "There seems to be some confusion about where this property line starts." They reached for backups. Gone. Reed emerged from the shadows, holding their sidearms. "You really should switch up your gear checks." "Same time every 4 hours? Way too predictable." June's voice never lost its calm. "You have 2 choices. Walk back to town or stay and find out why they used to call me Ghostmaker." They ran. Back at the central post, Felix Cruz heard only static. "We've lost contact with Point 3, he radioed to his brother. "Check it out," Dante replied. Felix sent 2 men. They never made it. The night swallowed them whole, followed by thuds and brief radio bursts. From her monitors, June watched the confusion ripple through the cartel ranks. She keyed her radio. "Remember your training, Reed. Show them just enough to fear what they can't see." "Copy that, Ghost Lead." And with that, the night exploded into chaos. Surveillance equipment failed. Radios went silent. Every time the cartel repositioned, they realized the ground they just left was compromised. They came hunting an old woman, but they just stepped into a war zone. Back in the cartel's command vehicle, Dante Cruz stared at the thermal footage in disbelief. "One heat signature," he muttered. "Female, elderly. Hasn't moved in hours." "That's because I wanted you to see that." June's voice suddenly crackled through their secure comms. "What you're watching is a hot water bottle under a blanket. Classic trick, still works." Panic set in. "All teams, fall back to the secondary rally point behind the south barn," Dante shouted. June's voice cut back in, calm and surgical. "Already compromised. Or did you think those fuel drums stacked back there arranged themselves?" Felix's voice jumped in tight with fear. "East team's dark, radio's down, equipment dead. Someone's out there, and they know what they're doing." Then a new voice entered the frequency. Wren Blackwood, June's neighbor. "Might want to check your vehicles. Sugar in the gas tanks. Amazing what you can do with pantry staples." Engines whined, sputtered, and died. The SUVs weren't going anywhere. June spoke softly. "Don't worry. I called you a tow truck. Should be here just in time for Sheriff Redding to arrive. Got an anonymous tip about suspicious vehicles on private land." Dante's calm shattered. "Who the hell are you?" "Just a farmer," June replied. "But before that, I was the ghost who haunted better men than you." And with that, sirens echoed in the distance. The cartel scattered, grabbing what they could, vanishing into the night, their vehicles left behind. In the command center, Reed let out a low whistle. "Think they got the message?" June watched the thermal feed, figures fading into the darkness. "They got the introduction. Now we see if they're smart enough to back off, or stupid enough to come back harder." She hoped for the second option. By dawn, June sat calmly in her kitchen, brewing coffee when Sheriff Redding knocked. "Strange night," he said, accepting a cup. "3 luxury SUVs with Mexican plates, all disabled. Want to file a complaint?" June shuffled slowly to her chair, playing her part. "I slept through the whole thing," but Redding had seen the signs. The surgical precision. The high-end surveillance gear. The abandoned operation. "I've seen this before," he said, eyeing the wreckage through the window. "Iraq. Insurgent outpost. No casualties. Just confusion and retreat. They called it a precision denial op. Only a handful of units were trained in that." June said nothing, just raised a hand. "Sheriff, sometimes it's better not to ask questions you don't want answered. More coffee?" As he drove away, a text came in from May at the diner. "Overheard them at breakfast. They're calling in someone named Ash Reyes. Their fixer for hard targets." June allowed herself a thin smile. Good. She was ready for round 2. Ash Reyes sat silently, studying satellite imagery of June's farm. A veteran of Mexico's special forces turned cartel enforcer, he'd seen plenty of combat zones, but nothing like this. "How many teams did she take out?" he asked softly. Dante shifted. 3, plus equipment. Vehicles totaled. No casualties. Just completely dismantled. Reyes tapped the screen, overlaying tactical data. Whoever did this used military-grade precision. Vehicles placed to block escape. Radios jammed in sequence. Pepper powder. Classic special forces move. Dante frowned. "She's 95. Background's clean. Widow. No military history." Ash's eyes narrowed. "You missed something. This wasn't improvisation. This was a long game. Whoever you're dealing with is very, very dangerous." Back at the farm, June welcomed her next guest, Dr. Pike Sterling, his medical bag packed with more than bandages. "Surgical suites prepped," he said, glancing around her hidden infirmary. "Though I'm hoping we won't need it." "Hope for peace," June replied, checking IV lines. Prepare for war, just like Guadalcanal. Pike raised a brow. You still never told me how you ended up there. Female sniper in 44? They needed someone who could shoot straight and disappear. She turned her focus to a monitor showing May's diner, hidden in plain sight. Its humble security cameras were anything but ordinary. May's intel? Pike asked. Solid. NSA analyst before she chose the quiet life. Inside the diner, May poured coffee for 2 cartel men. Hidden directional mics picked up every word. In Spanish, one murmured, Reyes wants everything. Layout, power grid, terrain maps. For an old woman's farm? The other shook his head. You weren't here last night. She's not just an old woman, May says casually, stirring sugar into coffee while snapping high-res images of cartel documents using a camera hidden in a smoke detector. Meanwhile, at the cartel's temporary command post, Ash Reyes reviews surveillance with his elite team, former Special Forces operatives, hand-picked for their precision and ruthlessness. They scan June's property through high-powered optics. She's good, Ash mutters. Every route's covered, multiple fallback zones, even the peach trees are spaced for visibility. That's a stretch, Felix Cruz scoffs. They're exactly 40 meters apart, Ash cuts in. Perfect spacing for overlapping fields of fire. He points at the barn. Sightlines on every entrance. That antenna? Not for TV. Military-grade comms masked as satellite dishes. Ash turns slowly to Dante Cruz. You're not dealing with a farmer. You're facing someone who's built a tactical fortress over decades. The real question is, who the hell is she? That question gets one step closer to an answer when Agent Winter Shaw arrives at June's porch in an unmarked FBI vehicle. She finds June lounging in the sun, seemingly asleep. Quite the setup, Winter says. Took me a minute to spot the flare cams in your birdhouses. Same models we deployed in Afghanistan 10 years ago. Birdwatching's a serious hobby, June says without opening her eyes. Like precision shooting, Winter replies, seating herself uninvited. She doesn't waste time. Marine Corps records, 1944 to 1972. Gaps, classified ops, rumors of a female sniper, codenamed Ghostmaker. Some say she never missed a shot. June finally opens her eyes. And you're telling me this why? Because the cartel just activated Ash Reyes, former Mexican Special Forces. When they bring him in, they're not looking to negotiate, they're cleaning house. June's smile is faint, cold. Appreciate the intel, but this ends here, on my land. My rules. Winter places a secure satellite phone on the table. I'm officially investigating cartel land grabs. Unofficially, I can get you back up. June rocks gently in her chair. No need. Sometimes the best bait is the kind that looks harmless. That night, Ash's recon teams begin sweeping the perimeter, professional, careful, trained, but they don't see the pressure plates buried under the soil. Don't notice the motion sensors disguised as irrigation lines. Don't question the peach trees spaced with military intent. In the command center, June watches it all unfold, every movement, every misstep. They're good, she tells Reed, standing silently beside her, but they're only seeing what I want them to see. May's voice crackles through comms. They're bringing heavy hardware, thermal scopes, drone support, military-grade rifles. June nods. Perfect. Let them bring everything. On her tactical display, June switches to full defensive overlay, infrared, perimeter lines, fallback positions. It's time they remembered, she says, eyes locked on the screens. Why some legends don't fade. They just wait. Reed glances at the monitors. Perimeter sensors show 16 hostiles, likely advance team for a larger force. Signal the others, June says. Tonight we remind them why they used to fear the dark. As the sun bleeds crimson across the sky, final preparations begin. Arthritis may slow June's hands, but her mind is still battlefield sharp. She briefs her team, each one a ghost from forgotten wars, brought together for one final stand. Ash Reyes, watching through his scope, sees only an old woman feeding her dog. He has no idea she wrote half the tactical doctrine he trained under. No idea that her greatest weapon is how harmless she appears. Tomorrow, he says to his men. "We take the farm, full assault, first light." In her basement, June opens a hidden panel. Inside, her Marine Corps sniper rifle, perfectly preserved. She runs her hand along the cold steel. "They'll come at dawn," she says. She's ready. That night, her command center is alive with quiet motion. Her team is in position. The mask of the harmless farmer is gone, replaced by the tactical genius the military once buried under classified files and whispered legends. "They'll use standard doctrine," she says, highlighting 3 approach routes. Main road, creekbed, ridgeline. Reed nods. "We let them think those are working. Pull them into our net." "Exactly," June confirms. "They'll believe they're exploiting weaknesses. We're handing them a trap." Meanwhile, in the cartel's mobile command post, Ash conducts his own final briefing. 40 men, all trained killers, surround him. They pore over satellite images and terrain maps. He looks up. Whoever she is, she's not just some widow. This is military, precision, and tomorrow she learns what real pressure feels like. What he doesn't know is that she's the one applying it. And by the time the sun rises, the legend of the Ghostmaker will be reborn. The legend of Ghostmaker, how one woman changed the game forever. Ash Reyes, former Special Forces and now cartel tactician, wasn't facing a farm. He was walking into a battlefield crafted over 50 years. June Hawthorne's land was no accident. Every tree, ditch, and wire was placed with purpose. It wasn't a home, it was a masterclass in misdirection. "She wants us to see those defenses," Ash warned. "It's a trap, but knowing that gives us an edge." It didn't. Back at the farm, June's team, specialists with decades of Black Ops experience, quietly took position in hidden zones. Every step the cartel took had been predicted. They fell into a script written long before they crossed the border. "We'll let them think they're winning," June told her team, her rifle steady despite arthritis. "Then show them where real power lies." At dawn, 3 cartel strike teams advanced. Full force, heavy weapons, drones, air support. But what they hit were decoys, fake positions, false heat signatures, and automated fire meant to mislead. Real defenses lay dormant, hidden in terrain they'd already cleared. "They're not seeing the real threat," Reed observed. "Because they expect weakness," June replied. "That's what makes it so effective." When the helicopters arrived, expecting to dominate the skies, they were met with tailored electronic warfare. Their systems jammed, their targets vanished. June's decades of research turned advanced tech into liabilities. Meanwhile, every inch the cartel gained only pulled them deeper into preset kill zones. Roads softened beneath their vehicles. Ammo stores were neutralized. Command centers collapsed under psychological and digital warfare. Even the terrain betrayed them. Engineered slopes and drainage redirected their movement with surgical precision. Then came the moment of collapse. Ash realized it first. She's not defending a farm, she's dismantling an army. And she was just getting started. Every move the cartel made had been choreographed by June years in advance. Their doctrine, their training manuals, formations, tactics, had all been subtly influenced by her. She had been feeding the cartel misinformation for decades through controlled leaks and front companies. They didn't just walk into a trap. They had built their entire playbook from one. As the final wave hit, June activated the last phase. False terrain collapsed, revealing reinforced bunkers. Surveillance systems mapped every enemy. Cartel communications failed, their vehicles disabled by long-prepared countermeasures. Matias Cruz, the elusive leader of Los Espectros, arrived to finish the job himself. Instead, he found his elite war machine turned into scattered noise, crushed by a strategy crafted over half a century. And when he tried to trigger a last resort explosion, even those explosives were duds. June had acquired and compromised their supply chain decades earlier. "They never stood a chance," Reed whispered. By nightfall, 287 cartel operatives were in custody. 0 fatalities, total collapse. Every cartel across the continent began to panic. Doctrines were burned, operations pulled back. Paranoia set in, not because of what June did, but what she might have done. They called it the Ghost Doctrine. A concept, a whisper, a new fear. If one woman could collapse a global operation without firing a lethal shot, who else might be out there? Sheriff Reading summed it up best. You didn't just win a battle, June. You changed how the enemy thinks. No, June replied. I reminded them. The most dangerous predator isn't the loudest. It's the one who waits, watches, plans. Now, her farm returns to peace. Peach trees sway in the wind. Systems go dormant. But the reputation remains. Not because of the weapons hidden beneath, but because of the lesson delivered above ground. Patience defeats power. Preparation outlasts fear. And sometimes the greatest victory is the one that ensures no more battles ever need to be fought.